So I feel like I have to kind of, well, I don't have to do anything. No other grown ass man needs somebody to defend them, but this Kevin Durant slander has gone a bit too far. Everybody's taking their jabs at him, and yes, I will say a lot of what KD has done and said this offseason is deserving of criticism, but Kevin Durant, in terms of the basketball player and his career, I think he's already certified, and now people, mainly Charles Barkley and Shaquille O'Neal, are really like slandering his career, and I think it's gone too far, and I want to speak on it a little bit. Now, what's prompting this is Charles Barkley's interview, and one big thing that he talked about in the interview. He was asked a question about Kevin Durant's legacy and what KD's legacy will be like, or what it will look like when it's all said and done. And this is what he said.
Well, I think it depends on if he win again. Because, he piggyback, all the old guys, he get mad when we say it. He piggyback on the Warriors to win his first two championships. But if you go back and look at his career, as the best player and being a leader that all goes with that, he's been an abject failure. I mean, every time he's been like the guy who has to be the leader and the best player, he has not had success.
It's true.
And that's what us old guys think about him. So we're always going to hold that against him.
His career outside of Golden State is, and I quote, an abject failure. Whatever abject means, I'm going to have to look up abject. But so my thoughts on that. I think we all can agree that KD is a certified top 20 greatest player of all time. I'm emphasizing greatness. Skill-wise, 100%, he's top 10. He's probably top 5. The motherfucker is 6'11", can shoot over anybody, has the handle of a guard, can score in his sleep, and is a pretty damn good and impactful defender as well. Like, he has every tool in the shed. He isn't selfish. Like, bruh, KD is one of the most talented players of all time. God-given talent, if you believe. But in terms of greatness, he's definitely top 20. And of course, he is still in pursuit of something to validate his career. He's still in the prime. Though he's towards the end of his prime, he's still in his prime, so he can go after rings, leading a team in that pursuit. And he's looking to get that ring to validate his career. Like, Kobe had to get chips and finals MVPs without Shaq to validate his career as a top 10 player of all time. I think we can all agree about that. Curry getting a finals MVP, that was the one thing holding him out, and he got it this past season. And now he's, in my opinion, the 10th best player of all time. KD's quote-unquote validation would be winning outside of Golden State, because a lot of the NBA world saw that, him going to Golden State and getting those 2 rings was taking the easy way out and running from the grind, as somebody like Damian Lillard would say. So if he was able to get a ring in Brooklyn, or I don't know, somewhere else in which he was the clear top player, the clear leader of the team, that would certify him as a top 15 player all time and give him a case to make the end of the top 10. So with that being said, how is his career an abject failure? I think this is where the ring argument gets really overblown. It's a team sport, if you didn't know. There's always 5 players on a team on the court at the same time. Every NBA team is composed of 15 players. Yes, superstars in basketball can have a much higher percentage of dominance than, say, a superstar on a football team on the defensive end. Like, Aaron Donald is one of the best players in the league right now, but he's only going to be able to be on the field half the time, and he is one of 11 players on his team at any given time, so he's not going to be able to impact every single play that goes on in a football game, because his, percentage of time and opportunity to dominate that game is lessened in football compared to basketball. A superstar can play 36 out of 48 minutes. That's 75% of the game. Player on a basketball team is 1 in 5. That's 20% of, the players on the court. So they have a higher, percentage of dominance. They have more opportunity to dominate a game. Yes, I took a long time to say that, but I had to explain it. With that being said, it still is a team sport. One team wins a championship every year, not one player. 15 players out of 200 or 300 players in the league win a championship and get a ring at the start of every season. It's still a team sport, and a lot of luck is involved for that team to get their rings. The Warriors won their chip last season, but yeah, a lot of luck was involved. They faced the Nuggets in the second round? Oh no, they faced the Nuggets in the first round. MVP Jokic, yeah, but that was it. Like, you take Jokic out the game, you double him as much as possible, and it's going to be impossible for the Nuggets to win that game, or that series, and that was evident. Next round, they took on the Grizzlies. That was a team that was putting up a fight against them, and Ja Morant gets injured. And then they took on the Mavericks, who are on a great rhythm, a great groove. Luka was playing out of his mind, but again, you take Luka, or you make life as hard as possible for Luka, and that's going to limit the ceiling of how far the Mavs can go. So yeah, there was a little bit of luck in the Warriors championship run, but they still won the fucking championship. That's not going to take anything away from that. And just because the Warriors were the only team to win the championship, that doesn't mean that they were the only team to exhibit greatness. Luka carrying the Mavs and dismantling the Suns in dramatic fashion, that wasn't greatness. Tatum versus Giannis in the Eastern Conference semis, that was a 7-game series, probably the best series in the playoffs in terms of a competitive standpoint. That was one of the best series to watch. Tatum versus Giannis, that wasn't greatness. And just because the Warriors were the only team to win the championship, were they the only team to have success? The Pelicans making the playoffs through the play-in tournament, giving the Suns a fight for their lives in the first round, that wasn't success that the Pelicans can build off going into this upcoming season. How about the Raptors? I didn't even have them making the playoffs this year. That young core, I thought they were a couple years away from playoff basketball, but they proved me wrong and a lot of the NBA world wrong. Scotty Barnes, Pascal Siakam, OG Anunoby, Fred VanVleet, a bunch of underdogs, and they made the playoffs and they gave the 76ers a run for their money. That wasn't a successful season for them. So again, I'm kind of just trying to go against this ring and championship or bust mindset that a lot of people are falling victim to, in my opinion. Now, Shaq responded to this quote, I think today, maybe yesterday in his podcast, and he pretty much echoed the same sentiments. He agreed with Chuck, brought up the OKC 3-1 thing, the bus rider snafu, and then he actually offered a really interesting point that I want to talk about in depth.
Do you agree?
Yeah. If you go back and look at his career as the best player and being the leader, all goes with that. See, we were there. We saw it. OKC up 3-1. One more game. And when you're the guy, all the pressure goes on you. You know, a lot of people was talking about the bus driver. Chuck was absolutely right. He was not driving the bus in Golden State. We were on the bus. We were sitting up front.
Does he look at his own career as an abject failure because he doesn't have any championships?
He does. And, you know, he says it all the time. He has G14 classification. He does. Not the, you know, championship floor, but he's in the building. So when guys like us go, whoa, and then you win and we don't respect it, don't get mad at us. That's how we feel. When you the guy in championship moments, can you take it to that next level? If you're the guy and you ain't get it done, it means you failed. Now,
taking this piece by piece, the 3-1 incident isn't defendable. That was a choke. They were up 3-1. That was the 73-9 team. They were up 3-1 on that team. And they choked. KD choked flat out. He couldn't close the deal. And, you know, that's what comes with being a leader. And then he made it worse by bolting to join that team. That's not ideal competitively. We all can agree with that. I can't defend that at all. The bus rider thing, this is where I have a little bit of pushback. Yeah, he joined the team in which the championship formula was already in place, but at the end of the day, he got the finals MVPs. It's not like he went there to be third fiddle behind Steph and Clay in the scoring pecking order. He went out there and showed out and put up the numbers and was awarded finals MVPs both years, and he showed out in the regular season. He led the team in scoring every regular season he was there. He showed out in the playoffs, put up the numbers, put up the best numbers in the playoffs, in the finals. So it's not like he just went there to fit in and be a S-tier role player. Like, no, he was the top dog. And I hear a lot of people saying that, oh, because Curry was there, it made it easier for him. Yeah, Curry's an unselfish superstar, and of course Curry was going to do something like that. But the stage was still there for KD to show out, and KD did show out. We can't knock him for that, and we can't just act like that didn't happen and act like those finals MVPs that he got while on the same team as Curry just don't exist. We can't do that. That's ignorant. And then when Shaq said that Chuck himself believed that his own career was a failure. That was interesting because I have to disagree wholeheartedly. Charles Barkley is one of the greatest players of all time. Probably top 30, probably top 25, maybe even top 20. I haven't dug that deep, but yeah, he's there. Shaq said it himself, the G14 classification shit, whatever that means. It's because Chuck, he's one of them. He led successful teams. He was the top dog. He won an MVP. He made multiple All-NBA first teams. He was the top dog on so many teams that just weren't fortunate enough to win a championship. Him being a top 25 player of all time, that means he's in the top 1% of players, less than that, like top 0.5%, top 1/4% of all players who ever enter the NBA. He was a superstar for 10 plus years. Is it his fault that his prime coincided with prime MJ's? You know, that's just unfortunate. And because he was so great, he was able to make a lot of money to set himself up and set up people around him, I assume, to live a comfortable life for the next 20 or 30 years. This is not a failure. Just because Charles didn't get a ring, this is why I disagree with the ring or bust mindset. So to conclude, yeah, we need to get rid of this mentality and accept that greatness can exist outside of rings. Like Damian Lillard, are we gonna say he's not a great player? It's all about situation. His second best player has never been of the tier of being a second best player on a championship team. That's not his fault. What is he supposed to do against that? Russell Westbrook averages a triple-double for the first time since Oscar in 1970s. That's not greatness, even though, you know, he hasn't won a ring. He's a great player. We're not gonna say he's not a great player because there's no championships. We're not gonna say his career was a failure because there's no championships. Carmelo Anthony, one of the most natural scorers of all time, a pure bucket. I think he's top 10 in scoring all time. Was he a failure? No. CP3, the point guard, was he a failure? No. He's one of the greatest point guards of all time. And Charles Barkley, his career was not a failure. He is great. Greatness exists outside of rings. All these players are Hall of Famers or future Hall of Famers. Are we going to say that Hall of Famers are not great? And are we going to say that Hall of Famers, that their careers were failures now? So yeah, with that being said, greatness can exist outside of rings. And the KD slander, it's gone a bit too far. He's one of the best scorers of all time. He's one of the most talented players of all time. And yeah, he's one of the greatest players of all time, so his career has not been a failure.